Hello. Right now, the core session gets all on the floor, not really too much of a warm up, working the front, the side, and the air, side and back. So we're just going to start off at all fours. Everything is a minute and there's minimal breaks, so just take some if you need. So we're going into all fours. I'm doing a pelvic tilt here. So we've done this before. It's just bringing your hip bones towards the ribs and then releasing. This is just a really gentle warm up for your abs. It's almost essentially a little bit like cat and cow, but cat and cow is where you're really rounding and arching, whereas here your upper back kind of stays still. It's just your pelvis releasing and tucking under. It's a really small movement. You're going to get the ribs pulling towards the hips, little release, and then again pulling towards the hips and release. And again, this is kind of whenever you have a class and they say you're bracing, it's that connection in the middle, pulling everything towards each other. That is your brace of the belly. So we're just doing it now without any kind of movement. And then when we go through, we'll be adding some arm and leg stuff. And you've got to try and maintain this brace here. So you know when you're tucked under, your back is flat, sorry, from tailbone to head. That's what you're aiming to maintain. We're trying to avoid this arched back. So with that in mind, get that brace, get that tilt. We're going to pointer. So you're going to extend your right arm and your left leg away. And then just pull in underneath you. We're here for 1 minute. Take your time on these moves. So extending out. What is going to try and happen here is you're going to find that your you're going to favor the weight into your leg. So if you look at the screen here, how I've shifted over, instead you're going to try and put lots of weight into your supporting left arm. So loads of weight into the left arm and keep your foot quite close to the floor. If you lift the leg really high up here, if you look at my back, I've lost that brace. So keeping the leg a little bit lower means you can maintain that rib to hip close connection. So loads of weight to the supporting arm and aiming to keep as neutral spine as possible despite the fact your arm and legs are moving. If you ever need less, just tap your toe down to the floor or don't reach as far. Just simply switch to the other side. So put loads of weight into the right hand, extend and pull. Take your time. So we're not racing this move because that will cause the hips to open to the side or for your weight to shift into one leg or for your back to arch. So you're aiming to go slow and controlled and picture you're putting something again. And I say this to our clients and they used it back at me once. But picture you've got like a tray of drinks in your back and you're trying to keep it as steady as possible. Not trying to spill a drop. So slow and controlled movement. If you can nail things like this without getting the arch at all or open hips, your core control on all exercise is going to be so much better. So it's just aiming to keep a stable pelvis and spine despite two of your limbs moving. I've only got 5 seconds to go. We're going to be moving on. I'm just going to the other side again and this time holding. So switch arms and leg. And just hold. Now this is harder than it looks. I'm kind of reaching over my sofa here, it's in the way. But this is harder than it looks. You're going to try and find those same pitfalls. We'll find you're probably going to arch your back. So keep the foot a little bit close to the floor. Keep your ribs as close as you can to the hips. Just hold, just hold, just hold. If it gets a little bit too much, take a little break, take a breather, and then come forward again and go. Bracing and pushing so much weight into your left arm. Breathing and holding. Trying to keep that rib to hip connection. Really be mindful of your spine, what is happening. Is it arching? Are you still braced? You've got less than 15 seconds to go. See if you can get me a little butt squeeze here as well with your left leg. Nice, just hold on the other side. So just hold, take time if you need to come off and have a little break, then do. And then it's left arm and right leg, extending out. Trying to roll it so both hips are parallel to the floor. Loads of pressure into the right arm. Notice your spine. Maybe you've been playing with it, playing with arching and then contracting. Then find that sweet spot where you're really braced and just trying to hold there. What you should really feel is that kind of pull down the spine of the weight. So your right hand's on the floor and your right side is really working to try and stay level. So it's going to try and be naturally you want to open Your right side is contracting to keep it level. And again, get that little squeeze of your right butt. Squeeze your butt to keep the leg lifted in the air. And if this is quite a lot of the wrist, don't worry, we're coming out of the wrist any second now. Got another less than 3 seconds. 2, 1, nice. So we're just doing pelvic tilts again on our back. So you've got a little bit of time just to roll over. And then mimicking the exact same thing. So it's hips to ribs. And then release. Hips towards ribs. And then release. So it's the same motion, just on our backs instead of on all fours. Putting your hip bones towards your rib cage, trying to prevent your ribs from flaring out, but putting them down towards the hips. Have a little release, and then drive it again. We're going to be mimicking exactly what we just did on all fours, but on our back. So the same movement, it's just this time it's called a dead bug instead of a pointer. And it's the same thing we're looking for, level hips, level spine, and braced abs the whole time. Mama just sent me a little video with the song, and that's in my head. Right, set up for the dead bug. So pull the hip bones towards the ribs. Now set your knees over the hips, hands over the shoulders. Notice straight away you're going to be trying to arch your back away from the floor, and you're going to pull the hips and ribs to each other so you get a brace. And this opposite arm leg extends out and then pulls in. You're going to stick with the same side, so the right arm and the left leg. And that can be sometimes really hard on the brain to get going. You might find your right knee tries to pull towards you and your left arm pulls away, but the legs that aren't moving, you're trying to get the knee over the hip and the hand over the shoulder. Extend it long. If you feel this go, whoa, you feel your back moving quite a lot, don't go as long, or maybe just tap your toe down to the floor, or it's just a tiny bit of movement away. And that's the exact same muscles working, just slightly reducing range will reduce the intensity a little bit. Keeping focus of that neutral spine. And then all we're doing is switching sides. So it's now the left arm and the right leg. Get the coordination. Check what's happened with your arms. You want to keep the hand directly over the shoulder, the knee directly over the hip. The way our body works is always trying to find the easiest route. So you might notice your knees have started drifting closer over your body here. And that's going to be a little bit easier. So your goal instead is to challenge your core. So keep your knees forward over the hips. If you want a bit more, slightly further in front of the hips, and just feel the difference instantly there without even having to move the arms and legs. Do not worry too much about going really long and low with the leg. Instead, just thinking about pushing the leg away like you're trying to push a wall away. That could be pointed toes or flex foot, doesn't really matter. But again, it's just moving slowly and mindfully, being in control of your core and your spine. We're going to go for those holds. So this is a 1 minute hold. Right arm, left leg, hold. Hold, hold, hold. So again, your right knee is going to try and drift towards you. You're going to try and keep the knee over the hips. If you need less, bring your left leg a bit higher, or bring the arm in a little bit closer. Or you can even bend the knee and push the knee further forward. You're 20 seconds into, you're a third of the way there. So once you've got the position you think you can hold on, just check the spine. Check on whether or not it's just gone into that like stretched out abs position, and you're trying to get as contracted abs as possible. You go like almost like you're trying to crush that between your ribs and your hips. You're holding, you're well over halfway. Remember there's no breaks. It doesn't mean you can't take a break. So if you're feeling like you're feeling in the wrong place, if you're feeling in your back rather than your belly, then take a quick break and then join back in. So 5 seconds, you're going to switch straight to the other side. If you need a quick break and hug the knees in, then do. If not, just in. Make sure you're still bracing, and then it's right arm, left leg. Hold and extend. Now check yourself. Check that your leg that's extending isn't like floppy. So just get it really as everything as strong as possible. The arm that's behind you, long as far as you can. Not floppy again. Just get everything just really rock solid in place. Just hold. You are halfway. So breathe in, and if you're managing this fine, as you breathe out, take the leg a little bit longer and a little bit lower. If you find, whoa, no way, just bring it up a little bit higher. If you can't recover the spine, again, take that break, and then you'll find when you reset, then you can. 10 more seconds to go, and then we don't see this again. Oh, wait for the time as much you. Nice, well done. Release, roll over. Right, don't roll over. The amount of times I can't say roll over, you don't mean that. Stay down, hip bridges. So now we're going into the footy. So feet hip width apart, squeeze your butt to get that pelvic tilt again, and then lift your hips away from the floor, clenching the butt, and then rolling yourself down, trying to get that roll first. So hips to ribs, and then the hips lift off, and then release and roll down one vertebra at a time, lifts off, and then reverse it on the way down. And you're looking to get a little clench of the butt. So your bum is it's still part of the core. So the thing that's a huge part of what kind of controls your spine integrity. So yeah, we've got to get a really big butt squeeze here. If you feel it in, say, your thighs, front or back, or your back, take a little bit of a break, and then just think, don't worry about how high you lift your hips. So bring the hips towards your ribs and then clench the bum. Then maybe your hips lift up a tiny inch, and that's fine. So go where you can really clench the bum, and don't worry about height. So we're going to hold the hips up, and then just lift alternate legs. So we're going to lift the right knee off, and then lower it down, and then switch the left knee comes off, and lower down. Your goal again here is the same. So it's trying to keep your spine neutral, and your hips and pelvis neutral. So you're trying to avoid them rocking side to side, or dropping down and up. Hey, we'll see. So you're trying to keep them as level as you can. Again, now it's almost like you've got the tray on your hips, or like you've got a bar across your hips, and you're trying to keep as level and balanced as possible without it trying to rock and slip to the side or drop down and up. Same concept. If you need a little bit less, just keep your bum closer to the floor. And also be mindful if you've come into this position here and your ribs and hips are far apart from one another, and come a little bit lower. Keep that brace. What are we going to do? We're going to hold it. So you're going to hold your right foot on the floor, any foot really, because you'll just switch. Other knee off. Just lift and hold. Hold, 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 hold. You want to feel it now massively in your right boot, so your left's not doing any work. Now this is intense, especially for a minute. So if it's too much, your left toes, just slightly tap them down to the floor. And that's as minimal tap and pressure as you can. So you're looking to produce as much power through the right side as possible. The left side, if you need it, you tap the toe down just to help. And it's a little assistance. It's not like the whole thing, just a little assistance. And if not, keep your knee up over the hips. Check yourself. Check if you've gone wonky. Check if your hips are going lower, 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 because you're resisting, and then whoosh, take a little break, come back up, clench your butt, lift. Let's see how the other side compares. I have a feeling this thing's blocking my face, isn't it? My precious face. Switch your legs. So just place that foot down, but keep the hips up if you can. Feel the weight transition into the left leg, and then lift the right knee off. So rather than just kind of like push, quickly do it, make it really mindful, and did you feel that transition from loading the right side into the left side? And then be as active as you can with your left foot. Drive it down, 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 down into the floor, like you're trying to create a dent in the floor with your foot. The harder you actively push down, the more your butt's going to engage. If you're not feeling your bum, again, you've got that option to take the break. Or the one you can always try doing is literally poking it. Just poking the butt. Poke, 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 poke. And then that your brain can then be like, oh, right, it's the bum that needs to contract. So sometimes we just need to give it a little help. You're in the final 10 seconds, and then we actually will be rolling over. Oh, clench the booty. Nice. Oish. So rolling over, we're going to do a side plank. We'll do in one side, a little break in between before we do the other side. So pick whichever side you want to start on. So you're going to come into a side plank, shoulders over the elbows, hips are stacked, and you just lift your hips up, And then your top leg is just going to lift up and lower down. Lift it up and lower it down. So goal here, again, is to keep your hips level, your spine stable, so you're not dropping the hips down and up. You're not bending or arching through the back. And if you find you cannot keep it on your toes, then just drop the bottom knee down, lift your hips up again, and try from there. If that is absolutely too much, you can bring your hips down as well. Just make sure the waist is still lifted. You're still trying to get, it's now side rib to side hip that's trying to close. Instead of this action here, it's now the side that's trying to contract. So you're going to feel it in the side of your waist and the side of your booty and probably into the side of the leg as well. You're going to be doing the same thing. We're lifting up and down at the moment, and we're just going to hold the leg up. So top leg lifts and hold it there. Hold, hold, and hold. Check your toes. We tend to find the toes will start to point upwards. That then causes the hips to roll back a little bit. So you're trying to keep the toes pointing downwards almost towards the floor, and then watch my hip as I do that, it kind of rolls round. So pointing both hip bones forwards. And then just keep squeezing the side of your butt to keep the leg lifted. Notice if it's come closer and then see if you can lift it a little bit higher. And you're also trying to squeeze the side of your waist and the side of your butt on the underneath side to keep your hips lifted. You've got the same option with the hip down or the hip down or just the knee down as you need. You've got 15 seconds to keep holding. I'm just going to stay here for now. We will do the other side, but not yet. Keep holding just a little bit longer, just a little bit longer. Yeah, nice. So we're going to kind of mimic that same thing, but just without the plank, so you can rest the side. So come fully all the way down, so you're relaxed down. You bend the bottom knee so you're really stable, and just lift the top leg up and down now. So we're taking away the sideways, so we're not having to keep the hips off the floor, and just focusing on the side of your body. So again, just watch your toes, watch if they turned up. And again, if you can see my hip, what happens here, it rolls back and opens to the ceiling. And we're aiming for both hip bones. If you had a light beaming out of both hips, they should both be pointing forwards. So sending in, just lifting and lowering, making it slow and squeezy. Feeling the squeeze of the side of the butt. If you feel the side leg more than the side bum, again, just go for that little poke. Go for the little poke, and I think clenching the bum before you lift the leg. You might just have like a bit of a lazy bum. We sometimes have lazy bums, that's fine. Just keep trying, and eventually it will come. Hold it up. 1 minute of hold. And I'm hoping by this point, your ass is on fire. You know what song I want to sing now, right? Whoa. Oh. Your ass is on fire. Now the leg that's lifted up on the floor, off the floor even, make sure it's not bent, it's not here, but it's like you're pushing the wall away from the wall behind is trying to close in. You're trying to push it away and lift it up and stop it from falling down beneath you. You've got 22 seconds. And then remember, after this, after we've done this side, they're not doing the other side yet. The other side gets another break. We're going to go back to the abs and also the back. Oh my God, taking a breath. As you breathe out, try to go a little bit higher with the leg. Clench a little bit harder. One more time, breathe in. Breathe out. Yeah, nice. And release. So rolling over to the flip side, we're coming to a plank hold. Now if you can, it's on your hands. If you need to, it's on the forearms. So hands under these shoulders. Tuck your toes and lift your knees off. Push your heels back. And you go for that pelvic tilt, so pulling the hip bone and ribs towards one another. Watch out if you're here and your hips are below the shoulders, and try and lift them up so they're in line with your shoulders and your back is flat like a tabletop. So we want to avoid the sloping down. I want to avoid the arching. So just like we practice in all fours, it's just now we're up on the toes. If you need to be on the knees, please pop your knees down. So rather than being on the toes, you just pop the knees down and go from here. It's the same thing. You're still pulling your hip bones and ribs towards one another as rock solid as you can. And again, if you've got wrist issues, please feel free to come down into the forearms and mimic the same thing there. That can be on the knees or up on the toes. So just holding. And as you hold, push down even harder into the floor. Push, 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 push. Nice, well done. Just lie down onto your belly. 1 minute of back extensions. So lie all the way flat. And then just going to squeeze your butt and lift your chest away from the floor, and then lower yourself back down again. Squeeze your butt, lift your chest away from the floor. I'm going to move the wrong way. Whee! Hello! Squeeze your butt, lift your chest away from the floor, and then lower down. So squeeze your bum to support the spine. And then lift the chest. Some people will be able to lift like really high, some not as much. As long as you're feeling this contraction in your back and your butt, you're all good. If you want to intensify this, feel free to lift your thighs away from the floor. And it's the thighs rather than just the shins. So lifting the thighs. And if you need a little bit less, just keep your hands on the floor and just ever so slightly push down into the hands. Just to give you just a little bit of support. It's not to lift yourself up to here, just a smidge of support and assistance. Coming to a plank position again. So we're up on the hands. This time take your feet a bit wider than the hips. Find your plank position. So the weight is forward. You're going to bring your right hand to the left shoulder. Place it down. Left hand to right shoulder. And place it down. So you're aiming again. So you're moving one arm. But the goal is that your body isn't moving. So if you're finding your hip is rocking a lot side to side like this, take your feet wider apart. The wider it is, the easier you're going to find it to be really stable. If you're finding it really easy, close your feet together. And of course, if you need to be on the knees, please come down to the knees. And that could be knees down, and same thing again, the wider the knees, the more stable you'll be. The closer the knees, the more hard you're going to have to work your core to prevent that rock, side to side. So back on the abs. I've got 6 seconds to go. There's nothing wrong with modifying. It's encouraged, especially if it means you do better reps. Back extensions again. Got a back extension during every single plank variation. So squeeze your butt and your back. Lift your chest up away from the floor and then lower it down slow. Try not to race the reps and balance up and down. But keep it slow and controlled. Keep it squeezy. Everything, like I say, has been 1 minute, 60 seconds. It's not about smashing out the reps. It's slow, controlled. You're kind of finding your range with the squeezing and contracting of your butt and your back muscles rather than just with a bit of momentum lifting you up and down. So really slow control. Take the option that you're getting a great workout and go for the feel for today. So it might be that you've done this before and you've absolutely smashed it. You're lifting the thighs away from the floor and then you come back the next time and you just think, oh my God, it's too much of a struggle, and you keep the feet down or you keep the hands down. As long as you feel successful today, you're all good. You're ready to come back to plank? The answer is yes. By the way, it's yes or yes. So we're going to slow mountain climbers. Hands on the shoulders, tuck your toes, and we're moving slowly. So you're going to pull your knee towards your, like kind of between the hands, back to plank. And then go for the other one, back to plank. The entire time, my shoulders are staying forwards, kind of over the fingertips, over the knuckles. So watch out if they've drifted back to here, and then try and shift them forward again. Again, if you need to, you can do this on your knees. You might find you need to go more around the outside if there's a bit more space there. And Tanya, of course, if you're doing this, I know you've got wrist issues, it is possible to do on the forearms as well. You'll just need to either pike your hips out to give a little bit of space, or again, stay level and bring the knees around the outside instead. You're so nearly there. You've got less than 8 seconds to go. Check if your shoulders are still in place or if they've come back and your hips have lifted. So forward, doing amazing. Back extensions. One more time. Lie yourself down on the floor. So final round of back extension. Squeeze your butt, lift the chest, and lower yourself slowly down. So we're literally going front, back, front, back, front, back, front, back. And you should be as strong in your back as you are in your abs. You don't want to be one stronger than the other. Otherwise, you tend to find that's what can move your pelvis out of alignment day to day. So if you've got a really strong or tight back muscles and kind of a weak abs, you'll find that you're naturally walking around and being in this position. And then same as reverse, if you work your abs all the time and not your back, you'll be more likely to be in this position with tight hips and a weaker back. So we're looking to be strong across both front and back and sides, and then that way, yeah, we've got good posture, Good strong core, good strength without too much muscle tightness or weakness in either area. Right, sky back, got 3 seconds to go. Do I bother going down? Nah. Go on over. So we're doing side plank. I didn't specify side, just make sure you're doing the other side this time. So stacking your shoulders, stacking your hips. Remember, if you had a light and both hip bones are both pointed forwards, lift your hips up. Reach up and your top leg lifts up and lowers down. Lifting up and lowering down. Same options again. If you want to be on the knee, then you can. Check again, your shoulder is aligned over the elbow. You always got to check these little bits. Shoulders over the elbow, hips are stacked and pointing forwards, toes aren't pointing upwards, but they're pointing flat towards the floor. And then your lifted leg, smoothly moving, not just up, down, smooth, squeezing the side button, and then lowering, resisting down, squeezing the side button, and then lowering, resisting down. Your hips as steady as possible. 10 more seconds to go until we hold. So 1 minute to hold with the leg lifted, 1 minute to hold. And always assume that you can do it on the toes. Just assume. Like just be like, yeah, I got this, and then try it. And then if you can't, what happens is you just don't. And you come down, hop the knee down, and you come to here. And then if you assume you've done this and it turns out you can't leave the hip down and you need to take multiple breaks, that's fine. You take multiple breaks. You're all good. But what's less good is if you assume you can't, and then you don't, and you never do, and you never try, and you're just not even finding out how strong and capable you are. So just assume the best of yourself, and just keep being really positive. Like, yeah, I can do it. And if you can't do it, cool, that's fine. You can't do it yet. And then gradually over time, you're going to get stronger and stronger, and you're going to get there. But just always assume, like, yeah, I got this. 6 seconds to go. 6 seconds of sorrow. Nice, we get to come off of the shoulder, so just lie down on your side, bend the bottom knee to really help with your stability and lift the top leg up and down. Smoothly does it. Oh, it's so exciting as well when you assume you can, because every time, even if it's like 1 second that you got in that position, and each time you've just done 1 second more strength in that position than you would have done had you not. And then gradually get there, like Siobhan. I don't know if you're ever going to see this, but she always said, I can't do push-ups. She just did her first push-up on her toes yesterday. It was very exciting. And she always thought she could. She just kept on trying. Every time. Pops the knees when she needs. Then tries again, and she's there. So just keep on trying. Keep on putting those little efforts. And just assuming that one day you're going to get there. Because you are. You're going to get there. How's the side butt? How's the booty? And then hold the leg up. Have you done my booty burner one? So it's got these exercises, but with a band. With a band, it's absolute killer. If you've not done it, banded booty burner is the name, BBB. Give it a go. If you are thinking, by the way, again, especially if you've done this workout once, you want to do it again, feel free to do it and add a band for these side bits, just to make it a little bit harder and more intense. Alternatively, you can also add like weighted bits around the ankles, little ankle weights. If you want to make it a bit harder, personally, I think it's quite hard enough as it is. It's quite nice for just a little half-hour non-sweaty workout. Don't think you need to make it harder. It's just if you want to. Oh, yeah. We're so nearly at stretch, by the way. So again, breathe in, breathe out. Think push the leg away and lift it just a little bit higher. Then hold it there, get as solid as you can, clench as hard as you can, take another breath. Breathe out, can you clench your arm even harder? 3 seconds, add 2, add 1. Yeah, nice. Oi. Roll yourself over, we're going to come to a child's pose to release the back. So bring big toes together, open your knees wide and just push your butt back towards your heels. Stretch your arms out forwards. Maybe rest the forearm down on the floor. You can roll on the floor a little bit, give your head a little massage. Well, nowhere even, but my right ass feels much like worse than the left at the moment. If this is too much pressure on the knees, by the way, feel free to come a little bit further forwards and come from here. Nice, and then release. So come into cat and cow. So that's going to release your back and your abs. So all fours, A bit like the pelvic tilts, but way more exaggerated in the whole spine. So arch your back one way and then curve your back the other way. And you should feel a stretch of your belly and then stretch of your back. Nice. And we're going to get the side of the waist. So find that neutral spine and then look over your right shoulder towards your right hip and your left shoulder towards your left hip, and you should get that little stretch of the side body. So now it's like pulling the ribs away from the hips. How do we feel? We good? These ones are so good if you're ever like at lunch and you don't want to sweat, if you want to work. You stretch the bum. It's going to come to a glute stretch. It's up to you if you want to come into like 90-90 stretch. Swan if you know it, or you can lie on your back and cross one ankle over the thigh and then push the leg towards you. So go into a stretch. It gives you a really good stretch of your bum. We work the bum in like a lot of the hip bridges, the back extensions, the pointer, the side planks, the side leg lifts. Worked it a lot, so you do want to stretch it again. And then just switch legs and we will be done. Oh yeah. For those that don't like stretching, I think you're nuts. It's like my favourite bit. It's the bit you deserve. Like, oh, it feels so good. And jobs are good. Just grab your thighs, round your back a little bit, rock yourself up, give yourself a little yes, pat the back, yes, you did it, well done. Pleasure having you again. Banded booty band if you want to absolutely destroy your bum, and if you've got a resistance band, and if you don't even need it. It's killer without. But well done. As always, just let me know how you get on. I love to hear. And see you